Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone to New Ambassadors Theater Company LAB54, which has the distinction of being the first lab of the year 2022. So welcome. My name is David Adam Gill. I'm the artistic director, but it doesn't say that as my name because I'm also acting this evening. We have three really great pieces that we're going to be working on tonight. The playwrights are in the order with which in which they will present: Mark Hoffmeyer, Laura McLean, and Eric Eichhorn. And everyone up here is otherwise is an actor, incredible talent, and we're so happy to have them help us out. We do have Ben Dworken, who is our company outreach liaison, but he's also on the team for the labs, and he's going to be posting on the Zoom side all the links that you're going to need in order to participate. And Mally Reber, who is our company stage manager and is also a very beautiful and gifted dancer and choreographer, she is on our YouTube side, and she's going to be posting those same links. So what this is a theater development lab. The playwrights come and they present work. They have 25 minutes to present their work, have the actors read through, and then we have a feedback session afterwards. And the feedback session is monitored. It's very carefully oh gosh, my brain. We ask very careful questions that help to give positive feedback and comments that help the playwright understand their piece in the eyes of an audience. Those questions are: what are the popcorn moments? What are the things that you liked most? Turns of phrases, imagery, what stayed with you? Second question is, was there any place that you dropped out? Was there any place that you got confused? And then the third question is, in the context of just the piece you saw, was there any bit or anything, a relationship, a character, something that you thought, oh my goodness, that really interests me. I'd love to see where that goes. I'd like to see that developed further. So those are the three questions that we utilize, and we have a feedback form that the link is going to be posted in both Zoom and YouTube that echo those questions. So you guys on YouTube, you can help out with feedback by clicking on the link and answering those questions per each of the plays. And then us on YouTube, we're going to actually participate vocally. We're going to be part of the panel here. But if there's something that you want to say, but you think it's going to take up too much time, or you don't, that's the time when we use the link so that feedback does get back to the writers. Quickly before I start, New Ambassadors Theater Company is a 501c3, not-for-profit. And that means that we rely heavily on the support of our company members, our patrons, our fans, our supporters. And with those funds, we put on shows. Not only the labs, which, when we start moving forward into live labs, we pay rent and all that, but our playwriting, our short play festivals, we pay all of our artists, we rent the theater, we do the whole shebang, and that's where those funds go. And our next short play festival is coming up in February, at the end of February. Some of you might remember, before we went into the pandemic and lockdown, we had an incredible short play festival called Heartbroke that was at the Producers Club upstairs. It is 2 years later, but we are going to go live with it again, and we'd love for you to be there. Yeah, Ben, we can't now, sorry. So we hope that you pay attention to everything New Ambassadors. Ben, if you could put up the link for signing up for the newsletter, that is a way to keep in touch with us, is to fill out the link of the newsletter, and then you'll get our newsletter every 2 weeks. And that gives you all the breakdowns, all the links for acting, for writing in the labs, for participating in anything, and the information for our upcoming productions. So that said, we're going to move forward and start the first piece, which is playwright Mark Hoffmeyer. So basically, Mark, is there anything that you want your audience to pay attention to specifically, or are our regular questions, will they suffice for this?
Okay, thank you, David. This is a play, a scene from a play that you're going to see So I'm curious if as it stands on its own, if you could follow, if the characters are interesting, if they engage you, and if you're curious as to what happens next. So that's pretty much it. It's a scene within a play, and it's sort of towards the end of the play. So that's what I would ask. And may I introduce tonight's cast?
Yeah.
Ben is going to be played by David Adam Gill. Eloise, Sandra Paris. Dr. Jane, Maya Rosewood. Cy, John Austin Wiggins. John, Matthew Menendez. Serena, Erin Mohan. Helen, Tracy Rostin. And stage directions by Miley Binion. So when you're ready, if everybody's got his or her script in front of you, I'm going to take myself off the video.
And we are going to jump right in. Eloise exits as Ben walks into the office of Dr. Jane.
I'm confused.
About what?
What am I doing here? I mean, you don't have the answers.
How do you know? Answers to what?
Well, I'm here because a friend recommended you.
That's how I usually end up with a client.
Knew I'd hate this. I was right. I do.
Already?
Is that all you do? Ask questions?
Not all. I do have another one for you, though. Is it okay if my dog stays in the room with us?
Sure. I mean, if she?
He neutered.
Oh, well, good. Doesn't matter. He seems like a perfectly nice dog.
He won't bother you.
I like dogs. No objections. I'm thinking about getting one.
What kind?
A retriever or a border collie, one that will ride in the back of my truck. Why are we talking about this?
What would you like to talk about?
There you go again with the questions. Seems like chit chat,
Not what?
The important stuff. Why I'm here, etc.
Why are you here? Tell me.
I guess I'm looking for someone, a genie, right? To give me the hard truth about what I want.
Well, Ben, I'm not a genie, and only you have the answer to what you want.
I heard that before.
I do have another question for you, however. Is this your first experience with therapy?
Why? Is that important? See, I have questions for you.
I may not have the answers. It's not important. I just wondered if you had any preconceived ideas about what this is.
Well, I assume I tell you stuff and you listen.
Yes, I comment occasionally or ask a question.
Like you've been doing.
How did you avoid therapy in the big city of New York all these years, a city full of therapists and patients?
I always thought it was kind of indulgent. School of tough love for me.
And how's that working for you?
No, another question. Not so great. That's why I'm here, ma'am.
Fantastic. Let's begin. In fact, we have begun. Only one rule. Don't call me ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So.
Stuck already? I'll start. How did a Columbia archaeology professor end up in Ulster County?
Dr. Jane exits as Ben walks into a dinner party at Helen's condo. Best of chat.
Ellen, delicious lamb dish.
Oh, thank you, say.
You must try my lamb curry next time.
Sure, if you promise to make that spinach casserole thingy.
Ah, sag paneer, absolutely.
They have the best
Indian restaurant in Brisbane. You wouldn't believe.
I don't. Santa Monica, however, has two of the best.
I believe you, John. Several of my colleagues are now situated in Arizona, not only in Phoenix.
Well, you kids are gonna just have to visit your dad more often and dine with us here.
You planning on staying here after your sabbatical, Dad?
Yeah, Dad, I thought the idea was this place was your getaway.
Good question, John. I asked him the same. Serena, what would he be getting away from?
A rather uncomfortable pause, broken by a loud bark from Helen Schnauzer.
Oh, let's not put our guest of honor on the spot. By the way, where did you two meet?
Well, since the cat's got his tongue, I'll answer. In a saloon. Best watering hole in the country.
Pool sharks, too. I've met several, including Eloise.
Oh, he speaks. Well, who won? My money's on Eloise.
It's an ongoing tournament. Not sure who's ahead now.
Ongoing, eh, Dad?
Well, not forgetting the purpose of our gathering this evening, I'd like to make a toast.
Me too.
Me first. To two of the braver citizens of the Magic Mountain Estates. I want to thank you for breaking up a chain of, well, whatever that stuff is, which I have not a clue how to explain.
I sure as hell don't understand it either, Helen. But gentlemen, I am most grateful.
She raises her glass to salute. Others follow suit, except Ben.
Di, thank you for supporting me throughout the entire sting.
Well, I have a confession. It was much more exciting than my job.
I'm afraid I'm not out of the woods yet, though. These people know where I live.
It's not like it's a drug cartel, Dad.
Not to worry, Ben. That coward Tim gave up his boss so fast.
Yeah, but he had a gun. And he knows people who probably frequent the Early Terrible Saloon.
Ooh, cool name for a bar. Can I see it before we leave?
I won't feel comfortable hanging out there anymore, especially since that bartender blabs to anyone who walks in the place.
I don't think the Bitcom cartel will feel exactly welcome there either.
Oh, good point. That guy Steve has a bad reputation. He's gone, I'm sure.
Well, thanks, but your reassurances fall on deaf ears. Manhattan isn't looking so bad now.
So, who's for dessert?
Yay!
Oh, me too. Let's help with the dishes, kids, and I'll walk you home.
Everyone exits save Ben and Eloise.
Confident this is behind you, Ben.
I was. I talked about you the other day at my session.
You're not supposed to tell me that. Well, how you liking it?
Kind of creepy, but who else can you pay to listen to you for 50 minutes?
Good question. A pastor, I guess. If you tithe regularly enough.
Or a lawyer.
So what's the verdict?
Huh?
You said you talked about me at your session. What did you find out about me?
You're right. I'm not supposed to talk about it with anyone.
Oh, I'm anyone?
Well, you know what I mean.
You're gonna tease me with an appetizer and not give me the main course?
I don't want to give you a swelled head.
Sounds like a punchline to a joke.
What joke?
Just tell me what you talked about.
No, I shouldn't have mentioned it.
But you did. You must want to tell me.
Look, I can be a straight shooter if the situation calls for it.
And it does. So straight shoot already.
Right. I like you, Eloise. I like you a lot. And that's evident enough, I think.
You like me. So does Helen's dog.
And I am attracted to you, very attracted to you. I think that's evident enough too.
Good thing you're telling me.
That's supposed to mean.
You know, for a college professor, you're pretty damn obtuse.
You know, you're pretty damn manipulative. You enjoy grilling me, don't you?
If by that you mean, do I enjoy seeing you squirm and look uncomfortable? The answer is arousing.
Yes, of course. That country girl, daughter of Woodstock parents, is just a front, isn't it?
Not at all.
What you really are is
But hey, mister, what you see is what
I get is a woman who's looking for a man to save her life.
With that,
She's-
Eloise slaps Ben on the face hard. Ben chokes on a piece of food left over from his meal, coughs, and starts to gag. He becomes serious as his face is pale, and he motions to her, "I can't breathe." Eloise runs behind Ben and expertly administers the Heimlich maneuver, hugging him from behind. Suddenly, the globule of food goes flying out of Ben's mouth. He pants and breathes heavily, bending over at the waist. Helen comes running in.
Now, what's going on out here? Is he getting fresh, Eloise?
Just a little water, if you please, Helen.
Oh, no problem.
You
David Freeze.
Are you also a nurse?
My parents made me practice it. Said it might come in handy. Saved a guy's life once in a bar.
Lucky guy.
He was. So, if you're okay, I guess I'll be heading out.
I'm coming with you. By the way, that hug felt great. Do you think you might try it again, only facing me this time and not my back? Eloise stares at Ben for a beat, then moves to embrace him. They hug for a long while, then separate while Helen walks in with the water. Eloise and Helen exit as Ben enters the office of Dr. Jane. Now I'm really confused.
Good.
Good?
What are you confused about?
Stop being obtuse. Eloise is right. It's really annoying.
She accused you of being obtuse.
More like an observation than accusation.
Tell me where you're with all that now.
I'm very conflicted.
Yes. And
I'm in love with this woman,
I believe that you are.
despite the fact that my face still svers from her slapping it.
Did you deserve it?
Yes. As I lay in bed this morning, I realized it was the first physical contact we've had.
Was there a second?
We hugged after she saved me from choking to death.
Is it only gratitude you feel, Ben?
No. What do I do about that?
Ben, when was the last time you spoke with your wife?
I don't know, a while. I don't talk to her.
Don't you
I don't
think
want to talk to
you
her.
don't you think you should?
Doctor. Should?
Sorry, rephrase. Don't you think you owe it to yourself to find out what's going on with her?
I don't know that I want to find out.
It was devastating to you and you are deeply hurt. It took time to admit that to yourself, but you did.
And yet I still feel guilty. Why is that?
Why? Tell me.
I feel like I was a neglectful husband and I got what I deserved. And I feel guilty for meeting a lovely person who feels the same way about me. I think.
When we started, you mentioned you were going to work things out with your wife. Is that still a plan?
Working things out doesn't necessarily mean we're getting back together, does it?
Answer that for me.
God, like a cliche. Just another academic who's fallen into the abyss of marital despair.
Are you?
Fuck no, god damn it. This is my life. The only one I got. I messed it up. I must fix it.
I think you know what you must do next.
Light change. Ben moves to his condo and speaks on his cell phone. End of excerpt.
Bravo.
Sorry.
Like Samuel Beckett meets David Lynch. Really great. Miley, you are a hero. You are the true hero. Thank you so much. Very well done, everybody. Well read. Thank you so much.
Sorry,
David,
guys.
Oh, okay.
WTF, man?
I was choking and all of a sudden I died.
Is that not really what happened?
No,
Boy, that was
I mean,
realistic, man.
my
And then you were reborn as a woman named Miley.
That chicken parmesan will get you
Right,
every time.
Tracy, what the hell happened? What happened? I can't believe you.
it's all right. So let's
I can't believe you. Like,
let's move on. I'm sorry that happened. My signal just died, but luckily you guys stayed up. And who
You
read
were
the
killing
role?
it too, babe. You were killing it.
Miley read it. Miley read it.
If I couldn't have been covered by a better actor. So have we started with the feedback yet?
No, we have not. We just
Okay,
ended.
so Ben, thank you everyone. Ben is going to put in into the link, as is Miley on YouTube, the feedback link for the feedback form. So how we do this is if you have, please raise your hand and indicate that you'd like to give some feedback. So Mark wanted to know, with regards to the scene, does it stand on its own? Do you understand what's happening? Is the story clear? John Wiggins is shaking his head, but his hand is, so go ahead, Miley, and then Aaron.
And then I have to run off, so I'm going to go first. I thought for the most part it was clear. The only questions I had, which I assume are answered in the scheme of the bigger thing, was timing, because I thought, I don't know, at first when it switched to the dinner party, I thought it was like a flashback, but then he was referencing therapy. And so it wasn't until he referenced therapy that I realized where it was in the timeline. But other than that, I thought all of the characters, particularly Ben, was fleshed out, even standing on its own.
Even when he just disappeared.
Even when he just disappeared. Yes.
That's very interesting, Mark. That's something kind of what we talked about in class, that
It is.
how you kind of set that up. Go ahead, Aaron. A good point made, Miley.
Yeah, similarly along the lines, like I felt like even with few snippets from each character, I still felt like I got them, and it still felt complete. I don't want it to stand by itself. I do have that question of time, but I don't want it to stand by itself, because if it does, then I almost feel like I don't need the rest of the play. And right now you've set little nuggets in there that I'm like, what are they talking about with this other thing, with the, like, why can't he go back to that bar? And I feel like if those little nuggets are answered in this story, then I don't need the full length play. So if you want this to be a complete thing, make it a 15-minute.
I actually think what he meant by "does it stand alone" is the information that you got enough to follow the story, even though there are those snippets and questions about Bitcoin and the guy with the gun and all that.
Yeah, I definitely was able to follow and figure out what was happening. I don't necessarily would have known. The only relationship, I'm really glad I talked to you beforehand about my character, because I knew the reference of dad, but it was nice to have like a little more information. So I think John and Serena, just because they're in there so little, wasn't as clear as the other characters who felt like a little more fleshed in this part. But it's, again, like I said, 5 lines, like, how much are you gonna get?
He doesn't call him daddy. So we know.
Daddy.
Right. John, you had a head shake. Is there anything you want to add beyond that?
No, it was pretty much along the lines of what Aaron said and Molly said. So I appreciated the flow. I wasn't confused about the time between the scenes at all. It was pretty clear to me. I'm familiar with earlier parts of the play. And I felt like it. I felt it fit in well, and I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that the scenes are short, and that I like the changes between each scene, and that they happen quickly, and it really held my attention that way, going from scene to scene to scene. So.
Great. Any other comments regarding? Yes, go ahead, Laura.
So yeah, at first, it was interesting to see the lead character go to therapy for the first time, and the therapist asks a very legitimate question: How have you been able to avoid therapy all this time? So I thought that was interesting, and there was kind of a I just felt that it was a nebulous situation until finally at the end I realized the conflict is the wife. So I'd love to know more about that. And I know that this is the end of the play. So I'm like, that's what it is. And then it all fell into place with me. That I was like, okay, so Eloise is new. Because in the interaction between them, I'm not sure if it was the acting or if it was the writing. It felt like they were a much older item than that. So I had mistaken that. And then he says, we hugged after she saved me from choking, which is very funny. But then you realize that's the first time we really had physical contact. So that was really important, valuable information, and it makes me curious about where it's going to go. But yeah, I'd love to know more about the wife and what happened there, and that's his big conflict, and that is the reason why he's coming to therapy. So those were the things that just struck me. But as far as the timing and going to the party and then having the choking incident, then back into the therapist's office, it all makes sense to me.
Great, very good comments. Very interesting, huh, Mark?
Yeah.
So we have a little bit more time. So let's, if no one else has comments about that, let's talk about the popcorn moments. One of my favorite lines is, "You're going to give me an appetizer and not give me the entire entree or whatever." I love that line. The tease that he said, "Well, I spoke about you, but I can't say anything more." That's Eloise's line. I love that line. Anything else? Popcorn moments here. Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Well, to piggyback on that, there's a naivete and something very sweet about his honesty with her that I appreciated and that I liked. He's likable, and I love the honesty to reach out to her that way. And I felt that Eloise's character is just like, well, give me more, give me more, give me more. So it's interesting. That's an insight into the kind of person she is, because she should probably let it alone, but whatever. But I just loved that. I liked him. It's the vulnerability, I've just realized, is what it was. There was a vulnerability there to be so honest with her about the fact that he went to therapy. He talked about her in therapy. So, yeah.
Yeah, great.
I'm glad, Laura, because that's the first time in his life where he's allowed himself to be vulnerable with a woman.
Yeah, I got
Obviously,
it.
wasn't
Cool.
so
Oh,
with his
good.
wife, but this woman brings it out in him. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. So you got it then, right on the mark there. That's what I understood. Cool.
Anyone else? We have a little bit more time.
The line about avoiding a therapist. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
No, go ahead. That's right.
The line about avoiding a therapist in New York City, like a city full of therapists, how did you avoid that? Therapists and patients. And Maya, you delivered it beautifully. So
Did great.
Okay. Well, we will move on now. I just want to caution everyone, if you're not, keep yourself muted and off camera if you're not on stage and whatnot. So the next up is The Progressives by Laura McLean. Ben is going to put in the cast list in the chat, as is Mally in YouTube. Thank you, Mally. You're not visible, but we know you're there and we love you. Laura, is there anything that you want? So are we starting from the beginning of this play, or are we somewhere in the middle? What are you giving us?
No, this is a one act.
Okay.
And I've blown the dust off, and I just want to see if it's current. I wrote it some years ago, and I'm just resurrecting it and seeing if I can make some tweaks to make it current. This is before George Floyd, and before the obsession with so much social media. It was before Zoom. So I'd like to see how it hits people now. I have made some changes in terms of two people comparing their life philosophies with one another. And the challenge here is to create a conflict between two people who are trying to get to know each other who don't really know each other. So there's a sophisticated level of conflict that I haven't quite captured. And I think the first 2/3 is the new part, and the last third is the old part because I had to get it into David. So the old part just kind of goes, blah, 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 you know, but I just want to see how it strikes people and what you liked and what you didn't and what worked for you and where you dropped out.
Okay, great. So go ahead and introduce your cast and we will get going.
Great. So thank you. So he is played by Perrin Pamato. Thank you so much for coming in so quickly last minute. And then she is Kat Plazas. And then I've got stage directions by Miley Binion. Thank you all so much. Have fun with it.
The Progressives, Act 1. Lights up on the couple seated at a small round table. It's early evening, and only one other couple is seated at a table and chairs. He is clean-shaven with a collegiate appearance, wearing jeans and a cardigan sweater. His hair is slightly rumpled, and he wears boat shoes with no socks. She is pretty with a soulful face, wears Birkenstocks and a crystal prism necklace. Her brightly colored woven scratchy wool purse from Ecuador hangs from the back of her chair. They are mid-meal, addressing one another with the familiarity of people who have shared small talk for many months.
So, do you have any favorite shows?
What, TV?
Well, cable, Netflix.
I like the National Geographic Channel.
Oh, I love that.
Nature programs.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I just saw a fascinating show about insects' mating patterns.
They have patterns?
Yeah. So check this out. The male praying mantis offers food to court his mate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the female accepts the food.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a date.
Right.
She nods, working something enthusiastically on the plate.
And then the male, who is much smaller than the female, funny enough,
Mm-hmm.
mounts the female, and as soon as he's done, she bites his head off.
What?
He bites his head off.
She kills him.
Yeah.
What'd she do that for?
Well,
every time?
yeah, that's the ritual.
Jesus.
Yeah. Evidently, it's for sustenance, nutrients, for the offspring.
Feet as they go forking around their plate.
The ultimate provider, huh?
Yeah, I don't really want kids.
Oh.
I don't think so. I mean, the notion is nice. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
It's expected.
Right. Of course. Who's going to take care of you when you're old, right? Well.
Yeah. The singular reason to have a kid.
Well, of course not the singular, but.
Yeah, no.
Okay. It's like a reverse psychology thing.
What?
Well, most women I meet at this stage of life, they're tapping their feet, checking their watches, like they're waiting for a bus, like the bus is late or something.
Do I seem like most women you meet?
Well, no, or I wouldn't have asked you out.
I mean, the way you put it, we might as well be Barbies in cardboard packaging. And the sales clerk would say, late 30s Barbie? Oh yes, we have plenty over in aisle 6, complete with Barbie Botox, Barbie Big Lips, and Barbie Fat Burn accessories. Barbie egg freezing kits are sold separately.
I mean, I didn't.
Why exactly did you ask me to join you? So you could dangle your older, considerably older bachelorhood in front of me to see if my feet would tap?
Because you're interesting. I felt compelled to ask you out because I can tell that you are multi-layered as a person.
Right, but you just compared me to most women.
It was just a reference.
How can I be multi-layered and like most women at the same time?
You remind me so much of my mom.
She retrieves her purse from the back of the chair and rifles through it.
Can I take your water? Mine's gone and I need to take an anxiety pill.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm on gabapentin temporarily.
Yeah, sure. Here.
She returns the purse to the chair and chases the pill down with his water.
My mom has a purse like that.
You're close, I take it?
Yeah. She needs more help now since I left. Stop in a few times a week, do stuff around the house, you know.
Since college?
What?
You said since you left. I guess that was...
Oh, college? No. No, I went to college right in town, you know, so stayed at home.
Oh.
I did the 5-year plan, decided to stay on as assistant professor, then I went full professor, and when I got tenured, I went for faculty housing. So I moved out about, let's see, 2 years ago? Yeah, that's about right.
Oh.
The bus thing. And sorry, just an impression I had. Particularly with women I know who, graduate pursuits, careers, and boom, slipping through the other end of the hourglass. Regret takes on a new persona when the choice is no longer yours, you know. Just curious, you know, my own children.
I wouldn't feel right bringing a child into today's world. A global warming, terrorism, middle-class poverty as a result of our declining capitalist government. It's impossible to send your kid to college now. Kids grow up way too fast with streaming media and video games virtually replacing social skills. And then creeps and sex offenders cruising anonymously on the internet. And ADD, what the hell is that? When I was in school, kids who didn't pay attention had too much sugar in their diet. Now, you know, I think it's all related to an alarmingly sharp technology curve. And we as a society are hanging from its precipice. You know, we got to get everything fast. Everything is just now.
You know, sometimes I feel like I can't keep up, and I haven't even left the apartment yet. Been quite a while since I took up the time to read a book, but can't go anywhere without my cell phone. Do everything on that phone. Love, hate, you know? Definitely. Yeah. My mom's generation still has trouble with cell phones, but I'm beginning to think they're the lucky ones.
Well, it's becoming man versus machine. We're all entrapped inside this invisible zoo with technological cages boxing us in. Technology isn't advancing society, it's destroying our basic social infrastructure. And as generations move forward on this bizarre assembly line, we're slowly losing our humanity.
It's not that drastic.
What?
Losing our humanity. I mean, you can't tear down thousands of years of human evolution just like that. I mean, there's a plus there. Some would even call it hope.
What?
The new transparency.
What do you mean transparency? What is that?
Social media and the immediacy of sharing information, more people are being held accountable. You can't sneeze without someone knowing about it instantly. Talk about Big Brother. See her, baby.
I can't stand it.
But in a way, with videos of people's actions, both good and bad, having the potential of going viral, I actually see this as an opportunity to evolve.
I see plenty of ashes, but no phoenix here.
No. Hear me out. I read a book on Mayan culture a few years ago. Food and shelter was shared, very little crime. Those who committed a serious crime were ostracized. Much like an immune system fighting a foreign cell to maintain overall health, the community lived as one functional family with a matriarch at the head, usually.
Really?
Mhm. But you know the saying, it takes a village?
Sure.
Mines did everything as a close-knit community, raised the children together, held each other accountable, literally, by proximity.
That makes sense.
And in a weird way, we're back to that, have no secrets village mentality. I think we're going to see a shift in morality.
Yeah, but at what cost? What about those kids carrying out gang attacks and then they post a video of it to their Facebook to show the world how tough they are? It's like a boasting platform.
Yeah. So the cops come knocking on their parents' door looking for them.
I mean, well, true. Like, hello, you just pummeled someone and published it online, or someone else does. Oh, and those cop videos, the body cams.
Right?
The way they shoot before they even think.
As if life's expendable.
Well, there's such an over-devaluation of it, of life.
All right, but now there's an unavoidable accountability. It's a very interesting time. Who could have predicted technology would have created a worldwide 24/7 tattletale?
Reshaping our moral footprint. But what a messy way to do it. Not because we choose to, but because someone might be watching. That's crazy.
It's its own kind of chaos. But there is an order to chaos, believe it or not. This is what I love about those nature programs. We see that nature is cruel. It's innately vicious. Nature and its laws is the ultimate force. It is intuitive. It is unforgiving. Some would even say it's divine. The order in which these animals live has a logical purpose that all boils down to survival, but for the most part, coexisting in relative harmony. Something the human race cannot seem to accomplish for any length of time.
Harmony. Aren't you a musician?
Yeah. I teach music up at the college and work on my master's. I developed a special form of theoretical music performance.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's the use of space and silence in between notes, focusing on the music that is suggested within the silence. See? So much noise in today's music, so much that you can't think about the single phrase or note and the quality of that note and its depth. Paul Simon, brilliant man. He was just a kid when he wrote The Sounds of Silence and had no idea what he'd stumbled upon. Writing a whole thesis on it.
Uh-huh. So how do you perform the silence part?
What?
With an instrument? Like what instrument?
Piano. Piano. It's complicated. It's so hard to describe. It's the sort of thing you need to experience to get it fully.
Try me.
Well, there's, of course, a physical performance involved that's crucial to pinpoint the meaningfulness of the silence.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the embrace of the musician and the instrument. Always work with a baby grand.
He extends his long arms around the table.
I hold the embrace as if we're breathing together. It's one. Then he plays for me. I don't play. She does.
That's actually very romantic.
One note, two notes, entire phrase. And those notes suspended in time hang on, demanding to be heard. It's a silence that will eventually absorb and conquer them.
He resumes eating with zeal.
Short-lived.
Like the praying mantis.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, come to think of it, yeah.
I like a good song, I need the quiet, the silence to write in, but when I want music, I want something I can hear generally.
Thanks for hearing me out. Most people get that glazed look on their face when I start talking about it and change the subject as soon as possible.
Uh-huh.
I do think I'm onto something for what it's worth, but what about you? After all those mornings saying hello at the coffee shop, all I know about you is that your morning routine lands you there at 8:10, and that you take your latte extra hot with stevia.
Observative. I'm a writer. Routine in the morning is important to get me started with the day. I live upstairs from the coffee shop, so it's like going out, but not really. And I get a kickstart from the world, and then I can go back up and write for the next few hours. Mornings are best.
Ah, that's the slippers. I've seen you in the slippers, the ones with the cats on them.
Oh, yeah. They're Austrian, boiled wool. They're like a shoe slipper, so it's not really that bizarre.
Yeah, totally fine. Almost like a moccasin.
They're very comfortable.
Yeah, look at.
Warm, super warm. So I'm recovering from a breakup. It was 4 months ago, but it was a turning point.
Oh. How's the new road going?
It's good. Had to happen. Felt a little lost for a while. Had some violent thoughts, murderous.
Oh, that's natural. Want to talk about it?
Oh, no. I've done plenty of that. He said the no children preference was a deal breaker.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he was carrying on a full-on relationship with a woman 8 years younger than me who could have passed for my sister.
Ouch.
And he lied about it, just denied it to my face.
So deceitful.
It's fine now. I mean, I did some soul searching, a lot of writing, not like my usual stuff. This was dark stream of consciousness poetry, you know, get off my chest kind of writing.
Oh, love to hear some.
Oh, it's silly.
Nah, come on. Why would you call it silly?
I was just pouring out everything I felt.
It's good. It's catharsis.
That is what it was. And yes, and very healing. I can almost laugh at some of it now.
There. So that's the best kind of silly there is.
You really want to hear some? You'd be the first to act.
You listen to my theory on music and silence. So yeah, lay it on me.
She digs around in her purse, unfolding and refolding various bits of paper until she finds the one, worn and tattered.
Well, I wrote this one day on the bus coming home from therapy in the rain. To find yourself alone again after yet another attempt at the relationship. Your friends have branched off to make their own plans since you haven't surfaced for months. And the phone sits just smirking at you in its dumb silence. You become acutely aware of what you have left to give and left to experience, as in the finite existence of a hard-boiled egg peeled of its shell, just lying cold and alone in the residue of the water that boiled its lifeless and solid, waiting to be mashed to bits and at last suffocated with mayonnaise.
She solemnly folds the paper back up and places it in her purse, which she returns to the back of the chair, then turns back to the table. She reaches calmly for her glass of water and takes a long drink from it, looking at him.
Wow, that's
Hardcore, right?
nailed it, Beth. Boiled egg line,
Yeah, that was just how I felt.
and then the mayonnaise.
Smothered, you know, just that heavy feeling.
Finality of it all.
Yeah, like a crushing weight that you're never gonna swim out from under.
The deafening silence of aloneness.
But there's comfort in it too. Like, you know, you're sane again. If anything, the whole experience has given me a new perspective.
What's the new perspective? Down with men, cats are better. How many have you had? How many do you have?
Well, I had 3, and then my sister had to move overseas, so I took her 2.
So 5.
Oh, and the 1.
1.
Well, someone passed away in my building, and his old cat was left in the apartment. He's so cute. He's got no teeth.
So 6.
Well, no, it's really 3 plus 1. My sister will take hers back.
So temporarily 6, but really 4.
Well, I don't think he has much time left, the little old fella, so 3.
Well, then that's it. Then that's it then, right? Isn't it? 3 cats, 3 temporaries, all set. Round the clock love, fur and hairballs.
They love to help me write.
Mine likes to help me play the piano if I don't feed her on time.
Yes, they will let you know what their agenda is and how you too can be a part of it.
So this works out. Our song would go something like, our house is a very, very, very fine house with 4 cats in the yard.
Oh, whoa there, Geronimo.
Well, I mean, in theory, all in theory. I was married and
Oh, so you have already partaken in the picket fence.
well, faculty housing sans the fence, but she was a grad student here from Belarus after her student visa ran out. Was get married or get out. So,
Of the country?
yeah, maybe we weren't. It wasn't there yet. The relationship. She was young. Mom didn't like her, but I was willing to try, and I wasn't about to, move to Russia essentially. So.
Oh, I know a couple like that. My friend Andrea married an Israeli summer lover, turned serious really fast. He was just on a travel visa, so after 3 months, they went down to City Hall.
How'd that work out?
I mean, it was fine the first year until he brought her to the old country to meet his family and shared his plans for them to move there. He grew up with dirt floors and chickens running through the kitchen, and she, a slick city girl, had no idea.
Hey, Green Acres comes to Israel.
I mean, there was other stuff, though. I mean, on both sides. It takes a long time to unpack your suitcase after you've rolled it in.
Well, I don't know if I could say she was American. We could have worked it out. It's caught up in my theoretical music studies, and she was the kind that, she was upset about something. She'd settle up with the silent treatment till you figured it out. And then one day I came home and she was gone.
She went back?
Yep, she did. Said she just couldn't compete with the other women in my music. Married someone from her town within a year of returning, someone she knew growing up. Mom said it was for the best.
There's something to that, staying within your village.
Look at the Mayans.
Yeah, I think the most important gift we have as human beings is our capacity to communicate. Not that it's always put in motion, really.
No kidding.
It's our lifeline, really.
All war and strife come from a breakdown of communication.
Oh, well, and the power and greed thing.
Yeah, everything has its good and bad. Communication could solve everything. But...
And that's something that we as human beings have that maybe animals don't.
Well, certainly the praying mantises don't. Talk about dysfunctional.
I know couples like that, just biting each other's heads off all the time, and they stay together.
Well, people crave the camaraderie of we, some, even if it kills them.
I mean, personally, I like my alone time. And if it kills me, it's entirely my fault. I think it's fair to say we're all out there on various levels of unconsciousness. Some little operators moving the crane, puttering along, mowing down everything in its subliminal wake.
Unconsciousness. Is that a word? Isn't the part of the realm of consciousness?
No, to put it simply, I think we're for the most part stupid.
Unconscious.
Yes.
All right. Well, I consciously am thinking about coffee and dessert. I don't know what your time frame is like, but little pastry place up the street, Hungarian, I think.
The Hungarian pastry place?
You know it?
Sure, I love that place.
You like to go there? Contemplate our subconscious states of pastry consumption?
Okay, I'm serious though. You're charmingly diffusing the situation. We're idiots.
I know. Look, who was just president. I gotcha.
Yeah? Good.
So, got a couple things, some Hungarian coffee.
Okay.
They get up from the table, assembling coats and belongings. Bill lightly places his hand on Beth's shoulder and they begin to make their way off stage.
You know what they have, I think you'll love?
What?
They got this creme fraiche thing. They pour over what looks like a wheat-colored Brillo pad.
Oh,
I know, it sounds terrible, but it's out of this world. You have to try it.
Oh, but I don't do dairy.
No?
I mean, I don't mind trying something different, but I refrain from dairy because of the cruelty of mass farming.
Of course you do.
People don't know.
What?
Precisely.
So you're like a real PETA person, or?
Oh no, they're nuts. You don't have to be nuts to decide not to support an industry of cruelty. Now there's an industry that needs some transparency.
Well, PETA does exposés.
Well, yes, but they do some, but they go by the way of sensationalism that just kills the message.
Message? What message?
Do you know they pull the babies away from their mothers?
Babies?
For the milk.
What babies?
Cows, the baby cows. It's like Sophie's Choice every day. Only the mother doesn't even have a choice. Well, not that she did either, being the whole point of the title.
The couple has exited stage right. A spot remains on the single table with crumpled napkins, empty glasses, and a single white carnation in a plain glass vase. The two chairs slightly askew on either side. Blackout.
So we timed out, but I'll give you a few minutes. Thank you guys. That was very nice. Well done, Laura.
Oh, thank you so much, you guys. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun watching it. Thank you.
So Laura wants to know if it feels current, if the conflict is present, how it works. Does it work? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's very current. I mean, in terms of the content of what the two people are speaking about, it's topical issues. They're speaking freely about it. Yeah, it's very current.
Okay.
Love the title, The Progressives.
Yeah, Erin?
Yeah, I agree with Mark. I think it felt very current, especially in light of what the Pope just said. As someone who also has chosen not to have children, thank you. I feel like the conflict was there at parts, but I feel like it kind of dissipated really easily.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because it was very charming. And so the charm would win over the conflict, which is not always a bad thing. But if you were going for more of a conflict, it never got to that point for me. But lots of lovely lines that did stick out for me.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
I agree with that. It was charming, the relationships, the characters, the dialogue especially. But I didn't feel as though they had to overcome much in order to leave together.
Yeah.
So the conflict wasn't as I felt that they kind of ambled their way through, and that the conflict, in order to win over each other, it wasn't evident. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Well, I was kind of going for the two rather unusual individuals are ignoring each other's flags, but it's hard to write that. It's hard to write that subliminal conflict. And then, yeah, okay, thanks. So
from my perspective, in reading this, for me, when it works the best was when in the quote unquote conflict or their discussion sort of mirrored what was going on with the relationship. And then where it kind of lost me at point, was when it became very I'm just going to spew my political beliefs onto you. And, and without any sort of necessarily, I didn't feel like the motivation was there behind it, I guess. So at the beginning, with the praying mantis and all that, I thought that was really charming, but it was also you're sort of talking about relationships and it's like a metaphor for relationships and whatever, right? And then we start getting into more of the talking about social media, and that can be interesting, but it just felt like it was a conversation about social media rather than it necessarily entwining it into their, relationship, for me. Okay. And then at the end, we got back to that where I thought when he started talking about his music and when she was talking about whatever, yes, we're talking about this, but we're also sort of talking about relationships too. And so for me, like the beginning and the end there, like those parts worked really well. And that middle part for me was not as strong.
Okay. The part after his music theory, after the music theory part?
I thought the music theory part and all that was good. I mean, because it's in a way, it's like you're talking about, at least the way I took it was almost a subtle conversation about relationships, right? Like what happens between people in silence and what happens between, you know.
Oh, wow. No.
And so that sort of,
I was trying to make him as weird as possible. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, that's the way I took it. You know, maybe as an actor, that's what I'd adjust, but like, that's the way I took it, was like, you know.
Well, what's interesting is that they comment, even she says, when I listen to music, I'd like to hear the song.
Yes.
So it's about having, you know, the listening as opposed to listening in between the notes and listening to the notes.
Yes.
Which is I felt a comment on the way they connect with people.
Okay.
I did love, and someone posted, I think Kat posted it, the poem about the eggs and the mayonnaise was so wonderful. I love that. When she brought it, when she said mayonnaise, I was like, yes, I love egg salad.
Good.
Any other comments we really need to keep on, because we have yes, go ahead, Erin.
Little one. The parts that really drew me in were like the specific quirky parts to them, like the poem, the listening to the silence and the music, the 30-year-old Barbie with Barbie Botox on the side, the praying mantis song. And then when they got into what Perrin was saying about the politics, it became super general and it didn't feel as personal to them. Mostly because the other stuff I hadn't heard before. And I was like, ooh, this is them. And then the other stuff is things that I had heard before.
Okay,
that
so
were more
specificity is your saying.
I think that would build the conflict too if we get super specific and super weird about things as opposed to general. This is my feeling on social media.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. We have to stop now, but the link is in the chat, right, Ben? And Maui? It was a great conversation. I hope that was helpful, Laura.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And thanks, actors, Perrin, Kat, and Miley. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Eric Eichhorn's piece, Mating. He's going to introduce his cast, but first I'm going to ask him if there's anything he wants his audience to pay attention to specifically.
You know, I thought about that, and I think if I say too much, I'll give away the things that I really want people to get on their own. But I'll just say that this is a second encounter between a very waspy Greenwich woman and a very easygoing man who's fascinated by his dogs, living and cremated. So that's all I'm going to give.
Okay.
And I have a fantastic cast who have read the first act, and this is the second act. Perrin Pomato will be Roger, and Kathy DiBiase will be Greta, and Miley will continue to do a fantastic job with stage directions. So I look forward to your thoughts. Thank you very much to the actors and Miley.
Thank you. 1 second, guys. I'm switching scripts. So I'll start in just one moment. Sorry, guys. Okay. Mating by Eric Eichhorn. Cast, Roger and Greta. Scene 2, a small courtyard with a fountain in the middle. There is an entryway, stage right, and a black granite wall, stage left. The other walls have windowless openings to the outside with vines growing around them. The sun casts shadows on the courtyard floor. After a moment, Roger comes through the door with Greta following him slowly as she studies the surroundings.
This is what I've been talking about.
When did you say this church was built? I feel like I should be wearing wooden shoes and a bonnet.
First one was 1720, but the British burned it down in the Revolutionary War. So.
Bastards.
Well, in fairness, the colonists were attacking them.
Greta walks around, going from opening to opening and looking out.
Should I be questioning your allegiance to the flag? Are you a Tory?
No, just accurate history. This church was built in 1794. Same structure stands today, untouched.
They had great foresight to put in air conditioning and an alarm system.
That was added.
Are you sure?
Positive.
I am curious why you wanted to meet at your church. You are an interesting man, Roger.
Do you not want to be here?
I'm not sure. My dates often consist of dinner or a movie. I feel like this is moving quickly.
Don't worry. You're not getting married again. Oh, sorry, that wasn't funny.
Whatever. It's fair.
I suppose it's fair for me too. I mean, I've been married before too, just once though.
I'm picking up on your point that I've had multiple marriages.
Kind of, actually a compliment. I mean, you got picked 3 times.
That's an odd compliment.
Well, some people are still waiting to be picked.
Right, like the last gay kid at kickball.
Exactly. It's better to be picked.
You make it sound so clinical. My marriages weren't arranged and I didn't have a dowry.
Were you in love?
I think so. I mean, I don't know exactly what the threshold is. Were you?
Was I what?
In love. Were you in love?
She was nice, smart, funny.
So you were buddies?
Probably. She kept asking me if I really loved her, and I didn't know what she meant. I thought things were fine, but she didn't think I loved her enough. So.
Sounds like my marriage to Phipps.
Your college boyfriend?
Number 2, the investment guy. I thought you were an expert on my marriages.
I'll try harder.
Anyway, I was kind of freaked out after my divorce from Wallace, my college boyfriend. I met Phipps. He was nice looking, successful, great squash player. It fit. I remember dancing at my wedding thinking I could make this work.
Guess not.
You are right, wedding expert.
I think God just wants us to love anything. I chose dogs.
So no people? Do you have family?
Just my mother in Ohio. I mean, my father's alive, but he doesn't know me anymore.
Brothers or sisters?
No. Not even sure my parents meant to have me. Not sure they were all in for the experience.
Do you speak with your mother often? I have strong radar for avoiding people with bad family dynamics.
All the time. I really like my mother. She knows we're dating.
Dating? I think we are just having conversations. Our last one ended with cremation as the topic, and today we are starting at the morgue.
We had coffee.
True. We drank briefly before the darkness descended.
Oh, it's not all dark. I don't think any of this is dark, just revealing.
Just think it would be nice if we started trending towards life.
This isn't a morgue, it's a memorial.
Got it. They're still dead.
I think it's beautiful.
Okay. Is this why you wanted me to come to the church?
I wanted you to know a little bit more about me. I love this church. This is where I want to be buried.
we had coffee and cremation last week, and now you're being buried or inserted or whatever. Why wouldn't we start with you alive?
I just thought it'd be helpful to get to know each other.
Look, you are very different and interesting, but I feel like you're about to exit quirky and go into weird.
Maybe. I just don't want to waste time with surprises.
I guess it would be bad if we dated for a few years and then I came into the kitchen and found you dividing up the dog ashes.
Greta studies the names on the granite wall.
We'll be up there in the top corner.
You and me?
No, of course not. Me and my dogs. Oh, and one cat.
Part of me thinks you want to buy me a box.
You'll have to earn it.
They stare silently at the wall.
Are you doing anything on Friday night?
Not sure if Walter has anything planned, but
Assuming Walter doesn't have anything planned, do you have a sport coat?
pretty sure I do. Where do you want to go?
Cocktail party with lots of obnoxious people.
Ooh. Oh, thanks for thinking of me. So you want to see me again?
I don't know. You were a long way from the polo fields of Greenwich.
But you are asking me out a date to meet your friends.
Not really. I just don't want any man at the club thinking door number 4 is now open. You will be the perfect buffer.
But you like me a little.
It's possible. Maybe I'm just afraid our next date will be a funeral if I don't set it up. What kind of car do you drive?
Buick, 2013.
Meet me
Greta
at the
turns
Greenwich.
to go.
Meet me at the Greenwich Library. I'll drive us to the club. Thank you for whatever this was.
Fade to black. End of scene 2.
Okay. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
How do I feel, Eric?
I thought it was read perfectly. And I thought they really captured the attitudes of both characters and the lack of a connection, but still a connection.
Great. Yeah, I do too. All right, so we're gonna hop right into our questions. Ben and Maui both are gonna put into their respective chats the the feedback form link. And we're going to talk about popcorn moments. What were the things that you liked, the things that stayed with you in terms of phrases, imagery? I'll start. Who opened their mouth? Mark?
I was going to say, well, you can go.
No, go ahead.
No, nothing. I mean, I just think the whole situation is really quirky and fun, and you know. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of funny if like someone brought me to like the church and like looked at like the catacombs or whatever for a first date or even a second date or whatever. I think that would be, it's a lot more interesting than going to a movie or whatever. So, I just thought the whole situation was kind of fun.
Good. I agree. Anyone else? Go ahead, Laura.
I felt that these two people are really very different, and they're both making an effort to see if they can be somewhat of a match. I thought that it was interesting that he knew about all her marriages, so it suggested to me that they've been talking for some time, or getting together for some time. So that was a little muddy for me. If it turns out that later on it seems like they've just started to date. I love the line, it seems like it's time for you to exit quirky and go into weird. That's funny. And that is a valid dating thought. So I loved that. Those were the things that struck me.
I was on mute and I said it and I realized, thank you, Laura. That's exactly I'm graduating from quirky into weird. And it's like,
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. I've made that transition myself. Anyway, it's great.
Haven't we all? Yes. Anyone else? Go ahead. Yeah, Sandra.
I found it fascinating because it kept my attention. And in a weird way, it kept my attention because I didn't like either one of them, really. And so I thought it was kind of funny to see, like, oh my goodness, are they really still talking to each other? And they're here? And there was something about the way that they were talking and the things that they were talking about that it was just like, yeah, there are people who have these conversations and get together, and it's just so strange. And that was fascinating, something fascinating, if that
They
makes
both-
sense to you.
They both have filter issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you'd been on the first date, to your point, Laura, she has a filter issue, and she just feels free to say whatever she wants to say, and she doesn't care.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And to that point, I'm just going to skip ahead to something that I feel interested in how things develop is where do those parts of them fall to the ground, and when do they each meet each other's, true person, right?
Real selves, yeah.
They have these idiosyncrasies that they're wearing, and they utilize them to engage in conversation and all this. At what point do those things drop away and they're bare in front of one another, and they have a conversation that really where they can really see each other into each other? Does that make sense?
Oh, to me, David?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I mean, as you know, it doesn't happen in scene 3 either. So, yet.
No, but that's the progression of the play. I think you see every time they get together that something drops to the ground and they're able to connect a little bit more. But Laura is right, and so is Sandra. At this point, that hasn't happened yet. There's still something there that is keeping them coming back.
Right.
And what is that? What is that thing that they see? Go ahead, Erin Mohan, she, her.
Yes, thank you, David Adam Gill. Something that I had a question, popcorn, lots of things, is when she was pointing up and saying, oh, you want to buy one of those for me. And he was like, oh, you have to earn it. And I was like, ooh, what's going to happen next? Like, because that's a serious thing to say to somebody, like, oh, so you're getting buried there and you're buying me that plot there. And using Laura's phrase from earlier, I was like, oh, that is like 600 red flags just popped up all at once. And so I don't quite know what to make of it yet. I'm intrigued by it. And it feels very specific to the two of them that it wasn't 600 red flags for either of them. But I don't quite know how I feel about it right now, because it tells me a lot about them, but I'm like, I want to see where that goes in that moment. I'm impatient. I don't like waiting. So I'm like, what's going to happen?
What's interesting about what you just said is that he values his pets. He values these things that he's talking about. So when she says it, she might be flippant about it, but when he says you have to earn it, it is an earned thing in his life. I find that dynamic of her being, flip about it, and him being, oh, you have to earn it. But he really does. I feel like he means that, because we've learned at least that about him, that's something that he prizes, that he values. Yes, that always strikes me when he says you have to earn it. I'm always like, yeah, you got to earn it. Anyone else? Was there any place that was confusing, or you weren't quite sure what was going on? Yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I was reading Erin's comment. Go ahead.
Oh, not confusing at all. I think to Sandra's comment about these people being likable or not. and to your point, David, it's like waiting for the gravitas, waiting for the truer, waiting for the realer selves to emerge, and getting beyond the minutiae and the small talk, and getting to who these people are. I think that's what we're anticipating in this piece. Is when are they gonna get trashed and really tell each other what they really think about each other? You know what I'm saying? So that there becomes that palpable conflict, and then they really come up against it, these two, and then we'll be engaged and see where they're going to go from there.
So what we're saying then is, as in terms of something that we would like to see further developed, is basically you've planted a lot of seeds,
right,
Eric, and some of the things that are I mean, it shouldn't be. It's only the second scene. They have to go through a lot in order to earn an ending, right? But what you've done is plant seeds in that first scene and in this scene that are compelling enough for us to say, oh my gosh, I'm really interested in what's going to happen with these two, because they like a lot of people, they're missing each other because they're so different. But when is that point when they come together and they see each other for who they are, and then do they like that or not?
Right.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, just from reading it from the second scene, thinking from Roger's point of view, I see Roger as being authentic in a way that he is sharing, I think, with Greta, like some things that are kind of really personal, and he doesn't seem to be intimidated by her. And I think she is very intrigued by that. I don't think she knows, I definitely don't think she has a filter at all, but there's something about Roger that she wants to explore more.
Because he's not in awe of her?
Because he is that quirky, almost on the verge of being weird, and very different, I think, than anyone she has dated before.
Or married.
Or married.
Yeah, or married. Yeah.
Or married. Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, Eric. Oh, go ahead, Laura. You're muted.
Okay, it's just a little, yes, Kathy had prompted a thought. I liked the fact that he talks about his wife and that he thought everything was fine and that she just felt that he didn't love her. I thought it was very honest, and I thought that it gave an insight into who he was as a person. He didn't cheat on her. They enjoyed each other's company, and it turned out to be not enough for that wife. So obviously the wife is going through her own thing. But I just kind of felt like this is a good, solid guy. And I felt like it made her feel more. I think that was one of the things that made Helen more interested in continuing, to see him and invite him as her beard to the cocktail party. But he's catching that, so you like me?
Yeah.
Just a little. And so that was a nice little tango there.
What's interesting about what you said, Laura, is that, he loved his wife but it wasn't enough or whatever. But for me, the thing that pops into my head is he didn't fight for her. Is that something? Does he not fight for those those things? He certainly likes the dead things, but will he fight for the live things? And that's something that pops into my head based on that comment and that conversation, where I think, what happens if she challenges him? Will he fight for her if he loves Greta? Will he fight for her, or say, I gave it my best, she didn't like me, I'm going to walk away? And that might be the difference between this relationship with Greta and how it goes, and his past relationship. Is willing to put up a fight for something in order to keep it, and not just say, I tried, she didn't love me, so I let her go.
Yeah.
And you might not have, that might not be an intention. It's just something that popped into my head, Eric.
She'd have to turn into a canine.
Okay.
He would fight.
All right. Anybody else? All right. So thank you, Eric. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, very much.
I certainly thought it was. And everyone, really good work tonight. Thank you to the playwrights, Eric Eichhorn, Laura McLean, and Mark Hoffmeyer. We are keeping the feedback links in the system. Please utilize them. Again, we can't emphasize enough that this is such an important part of a playwright's process, not just what's in their head, but really understanding am I communicating the story I'm trying to tell onto the page? Is it coming out the right way? Are people tapping into it? These are all important things for a playwright to learn and to make their piece better. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you, actors, especially Perrin for hopping in at the last minute on Laura's play.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think that he hopped in at the last minute. He did a beautiful job.
Oh yeah, great.
So thank you, everyone. Monthly newsletter. We're going to pop that link back in the chats. All things new ambassadors. It goes out bi-monthly. It has the sign up doodles for acting, for writing, all of our information about what's happening in New Ambassadors Theater world. I'll say it again. We are a 501c3. We are planning on doing our Heartbroken Festival coming up. It's a really great festival. We use a lot of artists. We have to rent the theater. If you feel like giving to us, it is a write-off, and it certainly goes towards the artists of the company. So we'll put that link up as well. LAB55, the second lab of the year, the second lab of this month will be, sorry. What's the Wednesday? I'm sorry. It's on a Wednesday now, and I gave the wrong information.
January 26th.
26th.
Wednesday, January 26th on Zoom and YouTube. The playwrights are Evan Edwards, Erin Mohan, who is here with us tonight, and John Austin Wiggins, who is here with us tonight. So we expect to have some really good work being read that evening. Last but not least, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm not sure if I said it live. Our Heartbroken Festival is coming up, and we are now looking for submissions for the Heartbroken Festival. The plays selected will be one acts, up to 15 minutes. It's a blind submission process, so when your name or any indicator of who you are should be on the script, and it should be a PDF. But in the email, which you will send to, if you can put this in the chat, the New Ambassadors email address, New Ambassadors Theater with an RE at gmail.com. One submission per person, no longer than 15 minutes, a PDF. Submission email should contain the playwright's name, the play title, and a short synopsis of the play. No solo works or cast of thousands. The theater that we generally use, if you come to see us, it's a black box that we utilize in very creative ways. And the play should be a complete work and not an excerpt from a larger piece. And again, the submission process is open and closes on January 21st at midnight. And from there, we pick the plays and then move forward with casting and directing and all that. So please, if you're a writer and you have something that you're working on, or you have something already, please submit it. It's a great festival. It is so much fun. It's Heartbroken, so it's a unique, basically you think of discounted Valentine's Day candy, whatever's left on the shelf a couple of weeks after Valentine's Day. That's Heartbroken. It's not picture perfect Hallmark love. It's the other kind, the real kind. So that's the theme. So please submit. Thank you all for being here. We're gonna say goodbye to our YouTube group. How do I do this? Oh, it's up here, sorry. And thank you for coming. We'll see you next time. And